Oh no, why is that the reaction as of right now that a lot of people are having when it comes to Jasmy? Well, I think I know the reason why, and I think it's because the CFO of Jasmy, who also happens to be the CEO of Jiangshan, recently made an announcement which got a lot of people kind of, I guess, worried when it comes to Jasmy. But I'll give my thoughts on that in today's video, and I'll explain what I think about the statement, even though nothing I say is financial advice, and even though I'm not telling anyone to do anything. So did you know that Hara, and again, Hara is the name of the CFO of Jasmy and the CEO of Jiangshan. But besides that, he did recently announce that how he is honored to have been nominated as a candidate for director responsible for digital asset management at Remix Point. Now let's take this into consideration. This post was translated from Japanese to English, but nowhere in this post did he ever mention that he's leaving Jasmy or let alone Jiangshan, right? Keep in mind, Jiangshan, it's an incubation project under Jasmy. It's really focused on AI. But besides that, again, at no point did he ever mention that he's leaving Jasmy or Jiangshan. Let me just give an example as to what I mean by this. Do you remember not too long ago, it was announced how Dana White was going to be joining the board of directors when it comes to Meta? Now, does that mean that Dana White is leaving the UFC for Instagram or Facebook or something like that? No, right? He's clearly still part of the UFC, which inherently means that he's part of the TKO group because UFC is under TKO, much like the WWE, by the way. But I'm just saying, besides that point, Dana White is clearly still doing things when it comes to the UFC. Not too long ago, when he was announced how he was going to be joining, the board of directors when it comes to Meta, he didn't necessarily like leave his position when it comes to the UFC. So when it comes to, in the case of, again, Hara, which is the CFO of Jasmy and the CEO of Jiangshan, him being nominated as a candidate for director responsible for digital asset management at Remix Point, again, it doesn't necessarily mean he's leaving Jasmy or Jiangshan, but this is just from the information that I can go off of as of right now, because nowhere in this post did he ever mention that he's leaving Jasmy or Jiangshan, right? And this post was very long, by the way. I mean, it was just filled with a bunch of riddles and stuff like that. I mean, I just found it very confusing what he was saying most of the time. But again, he never mentioned that he's leaving Jasmy, for instance. That recent announcement right there when it comes to the CEO of Jiangshan and the CFO of Jasmy got a lot of people kind of, I guess, scared, a little bit worried when it comes to what Jasmy is going to do. But again, I just didn't see what was so bad when it comes to that. Why is it bad if he's announcing that he's going to be, maybe, I guess, joining Remix Point? However, I think he could have made it more clear. Like, why not just say in the post, yeah, I'm not leaving Jasmy? Why not say that? I don't get it. Like, you know, I don't know why he wouldn't just say that. It's a very massive post filled with a bunch of riddles. Whatever, I suppose. I'll wait and see what happens, though. Not to mention, if we take a look at this, right? Him being nominated to, I guess, be a candidate for a director position, right? I suppose, at Remix Point. Keep in mind, Remix Point, they are the founders of something called BitPoint. BitPoint is a pretty famous exchange in Japan, and BitPoint does list Jasmy. Keep in mind as well, BitPoint, it got sold, right? So apparently Remix Point, they sold BitPoint to SBI Holdings, at least to my understanding. But besides that, when it comes to that, there is kind of a link because if we think about it, Remix Point, they have this kind of experience when it comes to this space, right? So it kind of makes sense why they might want to have someone like the CFO of Jasmy be a part of their team. Who knows? That's just what I'm assuming because if we take a look at it, Jasmy is the first ever legally compliant project of its kind in Japan. So let's just let that sink in. So, of course, Remix Point might see a value added, sort of, right? When it comes to maybe, Hara, which is again the CFO of Jasmy, in terms of in a hypothetical joining Remix Point. That's just my perspective. So when people like to say, wow, is he leaving Jasmy? Again, I just don't see anything about that as of right now. I mean, he hasn't mentioned anything in regard to that. So what am I going to do? Just assume he's leaving? No. Well, apparently a lot of people have because Jasmy has been down around 7% in the past 24 hours, which is not only caused because of this, though. I mean, a lot of projects are having a slight pullback, but mostly it's been like 3%, 4%, or whatever. This one has been around 7%. I think it's because again, not only is Bitcoin having a pullback, but this kind of announcement by the CFO of Jasmy kind of accentuated, I think, the selling pressure. But it hasn't really gotten me worried because he hasn't mentioned anything when it comes to leaving. And keep in mind, Jasmy, in and of itself, the team is very robust. We see a lot of people out there that used to work at Sony that historically have seen, on the Jasmy team. So it's not like even if, let's say, the CFO were to leave, it's not like the project randomly becomes cooked like that. It just doesn't seem like that to me. The team is very robust. However, even despite all that, he simply hasn't mentioned anything about leaving. So what am I going to do, right? Again, I'm not just going to assume he's leaving if he never mentioned it. So yeah, when it comes to this, I mean, if anything, I think it could actually be a good thing, right? If, let's say, he did join Remix Point and then he could give some ideas when it comes to that. Maybe Remix Point might see something when it comes to Jasmy. Who knows? After all, the exchange that Remix Point did found, I would say, right? It does list Jasmy after all. And of course, I'm talking about BitPoint listing Jasmy. So when it comes to this, I'm not necessarily concerned or worried. This is just my mindset. Even though a lot of people have been worried when it comes to this, I just simply haven't felt that because, again, where does it say that he's leaving? I just can't find it. Now, it's a very long post. I mean, it's very boring. It is what it is. A bunch of riddles, but he never mentioned anything about leaving, at least as of right now. But if there are any updates, I'll give my thoughts on it. But regardless, even if he leaves, I could really care less actually, because at the same time, the team is very robust. It's not dependent on just one person. It's a bit different if, like, let's say it's another project out there which is so dependent on a certain individual. Maybe if they leave, okay, it's like, all right then. But I just don't see it here. But besides that point, when I take a look at Jasmy as of right now, people like to say, well, could it go lower? I mean, who knows? I can't control this. But there's one thing I do, I guess, still do once a month. And that is I dollar cost average once a month. That way I don't guess, right? That way I don't try to find the perfect moment. That's not what I do. Again, if I'm dollar cost averaging once a month, maybe I might acquire when it's a little bit high, when it's a little bit low, when it's somewhere in between. But that way, over an extended period of time, it kind of averages out, right? Given the market swings and stuff like that, it just kind of averages out. So that's what I do instead. And granted, people like to say, well, why would you dollar cost average into Jasmy if it's, like, relatively speaking, kind of low? Well, to me at least, that seems kind of like the whole point, though. I mean, if I take a look at Warren Buffett, right, through Berkshire Hathaway, is their intent to only acquire stocks when it's sky high? It almost doesn't make sense. No, that isn't the case, right? Berkshire Hathaway, historically, they try to accumulate when it's kind of low, so that way they kind of ride it all the way to the top, sometimes, in some cases that I do hypothetically see, to my understanding. Maybe. So when I take a look at that right there, when it comes to me dollar cost averaging as of right now, I don't know why I would think about it any different. That is just my perspective. You know what? I'm going to wait for Jasmy to recover to where it once was before I dollar cost average. No, I'm not going to do that. I mean, if I take a look at Jasmy actually, as of right now, in terms of, market cap, again, it's around 300 million. But we have to consider, like, the market cap back in December of 2024 is around like 2.2 billion. Yeah, we're around 7 times more than that. But in the meantime, though, I mean, even if Jasmy just goes to half of that, I have zero complaints. If I take a look at it, for instance, did you know that Jasmy actually back in August of 2025 had a market cap of around a billion? So we're basically around 3 times lower than that. Keep in mind, around 3 times lower than where it once was back in August of 2025. Like, from right now. That's almost a little bit ridiculous. I mean, August of 2025 was by no means an altcoin season, and we're still around 3 times lower than that. It's also not a positive time as well when it comes to Jasmy by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, that was considered kind of bad actually when it comes to Jasmy. But besides that, at around a 300 million market cap, did you know that this market cap actually is basically at, right, December of 2023 levels? So we're seeing December 2023 levels in 2026, and more specifically in May of 2026. This feels a little bit like a time machine to me, as if I went back in time a little bit and I guess dollar cost average into Jasmy at around 2023 levels. Keep in mind, when Jasmy was at December of 2024, I don't know if anyone was complaining about dollar cost averaging back in 2023, but I don't know. That's just my perspective. But yeah, I mean, I'm just gonna wait as of right now. I'll wait and see what happens, but I'm still dollar cost averaging once a month, even though I don't have to, but I'm just doing it voluntarily because I like Jasmy. However, I want to say thank you for watching, and I hope you all have a very nice day. It's been Lee the Captain. I'm out. Peace. Bye.